All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another one of Annie's replay cast. This is going to be a great match here, and I'm very excited to see what's going down. This is a random draft match. I think we're watching the Dire side for our submitters, but we can go ahead and introduce the teams here. On the side of the Radiant, we are going to have Grim Reaper 7, Thordsvin on the Disruptor, Bear going to be on that Centaur Warrunner over here towards the mid, Brassiest Golf on the Sniper, Bad on that Ember Spirit. And who am I forgetting over here? Oh, no, we got them all. All right, and I'm being joined by Syndar, my co-caster. Take the Dire side away.
Absolutely. On the Dire side, in the offlane area right now, it's Pacacello on this Vengeful Spirit. It will be Ace on the Brewmaster, who's getting assaulted a little bit in the during the bot rune spot. We've got .P Joy Thief on the Doom, Otar on the Shadow Demon, and finally Gushi on the Weaver.
All right, already some action going down here. Sniper grabbing the level 1 Shrapnel, and it looks like both Bounty Runes will end up going the way of the Radiant, so helping them a little bit out with their starting money here. And so our Ember Spirit is going to be going into the offlane here. Now, offlane Ember is really not common when you think about that.
Solo offlane Ember.
Yeah,
well.
he's
the hero can be aggressive early, so if it was some kind of aggro lane, I could see it working, but this is going to be rough for him, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, he does fine mid because it's just a one-on-one scenario, but going up against a Shadow Demon that can easily punish him, and again, this is from heavy Shadow Demon meta. Things have changed up a little bit since this game was played, but, I mean, back then he was just the cream of the crop there. Disruption ready level 1, and they're just going to go for it. Weaver getting some nice free farm here. I would be really surprised if the Ember Spirit's able to really go ahead and contest any of Weaver's farm right now.
Yeah, they're rotating the Night Stalker up here. They realize that this is just not going to work out for him, and Ember, not a hero who plays well from behind at all. He can sort of use his levels to get kills once he gets that level 3 in Flame Guard thereabouts, but if he's too far behind when he gets to that stage, he'll just be useless basically all game. So the Night Stalker needs to make something happen, and Nice Ward will spot out Joy Thief on the Doom, jungling up nearby. So he'll be able to be ready for any rotation, but going on to Motar, that's not going to happen. Disrupt is there.
Yeah, he's just going to walk back, maybe getting a little bit of harass off, but again, Weaver, Scoochie, it's a good spell, and so far in terms of last hits, our Centaur is actually going to be number 1. Surprisingly, our Ember Spirit takes the off lane, Centaur grabs up a safe lane for himself, and he's doing really, really well here, but is a farmed Centaur enough to carry this game for the Radiant?
I mean, they may run into damage problems against him later on. He's a hero who doesn't really care about Doom that much. A core Centaur is going to have a lot of strength items, so just the return alone will do a decent amount of damage in a team fight. So Doom alone is not going to be enough to count him out as a hero. Brewmaster falls off against him as well. It's decent control, but also you don't have enough magic damage to burst through him when he's really tanky, but at the same time, he may have a damage output problem, and that's where this Ember needs to be online.
Yeah, they're going to be going through looking for something here. Gushi still has that Sakuchi on cooldown, and Grim Reaper not really able to go get anything done there. 2 stacks of Shadow Poison on him. Not going to be doing any lethal damage. Let's talk a bit more about this Venge offlane. We've got some very interesting lanes here. Venge can be run as a core, and it looks like in this case she will be grabbing up the Stout Shield and the early Elf Skin, but it seems like with Dire's heroes, they don't necessarily need her to play core.
Yeah, but it's a greedy lineup, right? You're running the Doom jungle, so if the game does go late enough, they will have a really decent advantage if the Venge does go okay.
Could be some trouble here. Our Disruptor taking some tower shots. A couple more hits on Ace. Will this be enough? Disruptor getting so low. One more shot here. Sniper actually ends up eating it, and there is a salve available for the Brewmaster. So a little bit of misplaying on the side of the Radiant.
Yeah.
And that's going to be...
The creep wave was right there. He could have swapped aggro, but just maybe tunnel visioning a bit too much for the kill there. And Ace, that's going to serve him very well.
Meanwhile, Doom, he could be in some trouble here. First Blood actually going the way of this Ember we've been shitting on for the last 3 minutes, because he's able to go really deep rotation into the Dire jungle, and it seemed like the other heroes in the Dire didn't want to follow up and defend against that.
Yeah, it's only bad if it's a 1v1, or if he's by himself. And the rotation of Grim Reaper makes this lane a lot better for him. He's still a little behind on the CS, but this is a hero who early on at least can do a lot just with levels because of his magic nukes.
As he's getting some levels there. He's going to be level 3 now, so definitely getting a lot out of that solo XP. He got harassed down early, but gets what he needs to. Now back towards this mid lane. Brewmaster versus Sniper. We saw Sniper have a go of it earlier, but now deciding just to bail out, go into the top lane and see what he can get done there.
I'm a little bit surprised that Ace has crushed the lane this hard. I mean, Sniper does have a bit of a last hit like damage disadvantage in this matchup, but as a ranged hero, he should be able to do all right. And he is getting just beyond crushed. 14-2 versus the 4-3 of the Sniper is not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, that could just be Sniper's inexperience on the hero, but Ace has definitely done a good job here. And Brewmaster can farm up pretty effectively. He's one of those heroes that, you know, he seems pretty weak in the early game. You underestimate him, give him some space to rotate to other lanes, and then all of a sudden, 20 minutes in, he's team fighting like a pro.
Yeah, and a fast Blink Dagger will do a lot because, top lane.
Yeah, they're going in. Disruption coming out. Just going to have to deal with the buggies here. I don't think Ember Spirit's going to get too low. Gushi, though, looks like he wants to pressure forward there.
Stacks.
Oh, man. Those stacks of Shadow Poison just clean up, and that's going to be a nice little kill going the way of our Dire support, giving him a little bit more money to work with. And he is going to be able to afford boots here. That's a big moment in every Position 5's life.
Yeah, and a critical kill as well. Anytime you can kill this Ember, it's absolute value because he's still doing very poorly on the CS. And anytime you can send him out of lane, you get more of an XP advantage. You make it harder for him to be effective in lane. So shutting him out early is going to be very valuable for the Dire side.
All right, down back to this bottom lane. Looks like we are going to have some more heroes from the Radiant come in. Looks like we might be rotating our Ember Spirit down and swapping out our Centaur. Bear having a little bit of trouble dealing with the Vengeful Spirit Harass, and she's getting a lot of space here. She's going to be on the upper half of the last hit chart. She has found herself some boots, and she's already picked up her level 5, almost level 6.
Yeah, the Centaur is getting a lot of last hits, but he's not as far ahead of the Weaver as he was just a minute ago. Gushi's caught up reasonably well now that the Ember's out of the lane, and with him getting a free lane, Weaver is one of those heroes who really does just need that critical first 15 minutes of space, and then he can start getting really active, but it's hard to get that sometimes, and the fact that he's going to get a free lane out of this, really solid for him.
They might have a rotation coming into the mid lane. You've got a Arcane Runed Ember Spirit. They want to go in for this. Ember Spirit, of course, is only level 4, does not have his ulti. He's going to be going in there, a little sleight of fist to get some damage out, but now he's going to get down to half health from tower shots, and Ace, barely a scratch on him.
Yep. And, sorry, what's your timestamp right now?
6:33.
Okay, I misclicked on something. We'll move back. Sorry about that, so go ahead.
Oh, Brassius Golfy's getting low here. Do they have anything to follow up? The Shadow Poison stacks are going to be coming in. The mana is just not there, but I think the stacks are going to be enough. Brassius Golf is running, but he doesn't have any regen. Oh, gosh, he's okay. Down back to the bottom lane. Vengeful Spirit does go down to Disruptor, unloading everything he has there to get the kill. The glimpse back in to allow Centaur to do a little more damage is going to be great, and that's going to put Radiant in a pretty good spot right now. The only weakness, again, their Sniper and their Ember, two of their big damage sources, just don't seem like they're scaling up effectively in the early game.
Yeah, it is huge that the Sniper survived there, but the fact that he's driven off the lane once again, the Brewmaster's going to get even further ahead on XP. He's level 7 right now compared to Sniper's 6, so one level advantage 7 minutes in is pretty significant. And they've actually rotated completely now. Gushi's here in this bot lane up against Bear now. And it looks like they'll give the top lane to Motar as a solo.
Just a little solo experience never hurts. Getting his level 6 is going to help them out with more future rotations. And also just applying pressure to the Venge who, well, oh, she's going back in. If Dire can actually get this would be pretty interesting. But Venge seems like she's in a little trouble there, taking the double edge. And she will unfortunately end up going down at her level 5. No level 6 for her just yet. Now, I got a question about the Centaur's build here. He went for a full Hooded Defiance before picking up Tranquils.
It's certainly not standard. And the weird thing is I'm not sure what exactly the magic damage is he's trying to prevent here. I guess the Brewmaster clap. Venge stun, it's not significant damage, and he's completely skipped Hoof Stomp altogether. So yeah, really strange build.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
basically, it's almost impossible for him to get rotation kills without that stun setup. So, and it now looks like he's building into, I don't know, that headdress could be a mech, could be a Vlad's, but this is absolutely not a standard build.
Yeah, definitely interesting here. So it seems like the Radiant cores might be dropping the ball a little bit when it comes to builds and overall efficiency. Now let's talk a bit more about the Dire. up here. We are going to have a Searing Chains connecting onto our little Shadow Demon here. He's getting low, but he's not too disheartened. Now has enough money to go back in for Arcane Boots if that's what he wants to go for. And, I mean, Ace is just crushing it here, switching over to Net Worth. He's going to be second on the chart, only behind that free farming Centaur. Now, Stampede pulled out, will get Sniper away in time. He has the Assassinate, but they can't seem to get Ace low enough here. Just going to blast that Assassinate off, but he's still got plenty of health to get back to base.
Yeah, this will give the Sniper some critical time in lane to catch up a little bit. He is sitting around 600 gold behind the Brew, so not the hugest of deals, but still any space that he can get to come back into this is going to be good.
All right, now our Doom here, he's been juggling. He has picked up his ultimate. Now that's going to be a pretty crucial timing. If you had your buffet of all Radiant heroes, who do you want to Doom up? Well, looks like Night Stalker's going to be taking a little bit of damage here. Again, Gucci going in, getting that Scoochie slow, getting that Scoochie damage, and Doom finishes off the kill. Bad going to be going in. There's going to be a time lapse out from Goosey, just keeping himself up a little bit safer, a little bit farther back on the map, and well, Dire just go ahead and get a free kill for themselves.
Yeah. Oh, and as to your question, I think Ember is going to be the obvious choice later on. Right now, if it's nighttime, maybe the Night Stalker, because he is very powerful in the first couple of night times. He's almost got his 6 as well. So that could be pretty huge.
All right, back towards the mid lane here. Ace going to get glimpsed back into this kinetic field. Might be in trouble, though. Gucci coming in to try to save the day. The silence up on Brewmaster isn't enough. Reaper, he's taking some damage. Primal Split comes out, and they're going to try to turn this in the Night Stalker. It's daytime. He does not have nighttime. He's going to go ahead and eat a boulder. It looks like that will be a second consecutive death for our Night Stalker.
Yeah, nice rotation. Keeping the Brewmaster alive. That could have been risky.
All right, Centaur with a full pipe of insight at 10 minutes in. It's a well-timed item, but what use is it really going to bring to his team as he has not rotated, has not left this lane, and isn't really taking tons of magic damage?
I mean, it's a good item, and there is a decent amount of magical bursts, or magical damage rather, on the Dire side, but yeah, I mean, I would personally rather have the early blink.
Or just Tranquils, or anything.
Well, here's the thing though, Andy. If you're not maxing, if you're not leveling Earth Stomp, then Blink is kind of useless, so maybe this guy's just next level.
He definitely could be next level. I was talking with Suns Fan the other day about his preference here. He likes to go 1 point in Hoof Stomp, then max Double Edge. A lot of the pros right now, especially Moon Meander, going for the full Hoof Stomp max before getting Double Edge, but you kind of need a point in Hoof Stomp regardless just to bring that utility. Now Swap comes back in. There will be a stun, but rotation in Emperor Spirit with the Boots of Travels coming in. Gets the Searing Chains off. This is a really nice turnaround for the Radiant. They go in, they get the Double Edge off. Venge is dead. Glimpse back onto the Shadow Demon. There's not much he can do here. He's going to try to TP out, but the burst damage is there, and they will be able to get him down.
Yeah, nice rotation. Radiant bringing multiple heroes into the area, getting 2 good kills. It is sort of sharing XP between all their heroes grouping up like this, but they're going to go for a tower push, and that probably makes it worth it.
Yeah, our sniper here, he's sitting back. He's gone for the phase boots. Looks like he's trying to go for an Aquila here, but his courier is still dead. This sniper is just really far behind where he needs to be. Tier 2 boots and like a mini stats item at 12 minutes for a mid hero is pretty abysmal.
Yeah, it's certainly not ideal. The nice thing though is, I mean, I don't know what MMR level this is, but a lot of the times, at least in my games, in the trench.
Nice little static storm there, but unfortunately not going to be able to trap up everything they were looking for there. Gucci coming back out. He is still capable of putting out a lot of damage here. Doom going to be getting this Centaur low, but he should be able to tank through it here. He's pretty beefy. Grim Reaper still moving up. He's got that little pipe rocking for himself, but now Gucci looking to turn things around. Not going to reinitiate onto the Night Stalker there. A little bit of hesitation. I feel like they definitely could have had that kill. Ace still invised up. Going to be running into the sniper as well, his old friend. That is so easy to kill at this point. He has got 800 total HP and only 7 armor. The Stampede, rather, going to keep him nice and healthy. And this kinetic field from the Disruptor will be able to hold back the rest of the Dire squad. They're still moving forward, though. They really want these kills, just using it as an opportunity to plant a nice little observer. I guess is some good bang for their buck.
Yeah, the Brew could have maybe clapped and slowed down the sniper enough for that kill instead of going for the right click first, but the Stampede saved his life anyway. And I do want to mention that that pipe did probably save the Doom's life. I was watching his HP. Without the pipe, the Doom tick damage may have actually been enough to kill him.
The Centaur?
Oh, what did I say?
The Doom.
Yes.
I was like, there's some team discrepancy now. Grim Reaper popping off that crippling fear on some crepes.
The Night Stalker could be a problem for this Weaver, though. If he doesn't get an early Lincolns, which he's not going for, rushing the Deso, and even if he does get an early Lincolns, the Crippling Fear, or the Void rather, can break the Lincolns for the Crippling Fear, and silences are going to be a Weaver's weakness at all stages of this game, so he's got to be really careful of both the Disruptor and the Night Stalker.
Yeah, I mean, this has the potential to be going pretty late here. It seems like Dire are off to a really good start. Overall net worth going to be about 1,500 in their favor, but, you know, even though Snipers had a tremendously slow start, he can scale up pretty indefinitely. He can just start chunking you down late game.
Yeah, and Brassius Golf, he has the luxury of being able to sit back in these fights, and, you know, there's so much else going on. The Night Stalker's running around, the Centaurs in the front tanking up. It's really easy, if you're not careful, to just ignore him and focus on the heroes who are in your face doing damage to you. But meanwhile, he's just sitting in the back, blinking away, you ignore him, and all of a sudden he's done too much damage and he's getting kills and coming back into the game.
Alright, Centaur ult is going to be used, not really to any sort of benefit for the Radiant. They don't want to take this fight just yet, just want to sit back and farm up. Now Grim Reaper finds this opportunity to disrupt her with a really, really nice kinetic field. They get the Assassinate onto the Brewmaster. It may cost the Night Stalker his life here. He will go down. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but still benefiting the Radiant if they can cut their losses here.
Absolutely, and really nice for the Night Stalker, holding off in the silence, waiting, and the Brewmaster was trying to time it so that he could get the split off at the last second, but Night Stalker says no, and that's a very good kill. Brewmaster was at one point second on net worth. Now he's fallen down to 4.
That's
still no blink.
It's a pretty steep drop right there. We are going to have our Centaur just dealing with some harass, but it is not going to be enough to take him down. Again, he went for the hoof stomp on our Venge, has finally picked up his little hoof stomp, but unfortunately couldn't connect. You got to get that blink up, but our Centaur, he says, screw Tranquil Boots, screw typical builds, first item pipe into Arcanes. How is your opinion of that?
Well, I mean, the mana regen's always nice, but, I mean, he's only just now level 2 stomp, so that, I mean, before now, I guess he didn't need the mana, now he does. If you're safe lane Centaur, to be fair, Tranquils aren't always the build because you're going to be last hitting more. The Tranquil's more for a roaming kind of build where you're not always turning those Tranquils off, but I would actually probably prefer the Power Treads in this situation. You can switch to Int to give that extra little bit of mana boost when you're casting your spells. Only 2 of his spells require mana, and so he can live without them, but he's now gone back for Perseverance, so that'll help with mana regen as well, I guess. I'm just really curious what this guy's building. Like,
I mean, Lincoln's is pretty okay here. I'm not really feeling a Refresher Orb, but he can go ahead and try to build a Battle Fury. It's not good, but it is.
Double Stampede. That's broken, man.
Well, first you need an Ags to make it worthwhile in the first place.
Oh no, you don't need to do damage. You just need to run away. You don't need to damage resist. That's,
you know what helps you run away with like a 10-second cooldown? A Blink Dagger.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
Alright, nice little disrupt here from our Shadow Demon. May have saved this fight for the Dire. Primal Split coming out. They're going to be trying to focus down onto Bear. Now, Centaur, you already used your ulti. You are just fresh dead. Assassinate comes in onto the Doom. He's going to be alive for now. He's burning down and will end up going down to the Disruptor. And it looks like Night Stalker on the run now. It's really going to be just this little Earth Panda left. And Shadow Demon should be able to escape around the back line. So Weaver, meanwhile, farming up. Not really able to help a whole lot in this team fight. Instead, just focusing on last hits, focusing on that first big item. This Desolator is so close, he can taste it. But unfortunately, Ace will be going down because there's just a lack of damage coming out of the Dire team. Swap back. They want to get something out of this here. Venge looking to turn it around. They will get a Disruptor for all their troubles. And it looks like Venge now silenced up, stuck in the ring. Brassius Golf going for the right-click Scooshy, coming back in. Can they actually finish off the Sniper? It's only going to take a couple of shots. There we go, the Germinate attack. Should be enough. Auto attack! No, Weaver. Why didn't you right-click? Oh.
That was a little unfortunate.
Did manage to grab the Mithril Hammer before he went down, and Ember Spirit. Will he be caught here? Shadow Poison stacks are enough. There we go. But yeah, unfortunately, the Weaver stopped to buy his item and was unable to go for the one right click it would have taken to kill the Sniper. So he's going to be going back to base here. And we'll be sitting on just a little bit of gold. He's got himself a Dragon Lance, finished off that Aquila after his courier respawned. What do you want the sniper to go for next?
Dragonlance, now that he's got some HP, you probably just need some damage. I am personally a big fan of the Maelstrom, just because it increases your farming speed and gives you a pretty decent output of damage in fights. But really, any kind of damage item would do. Oh, swap back on the bear. He could be in trouble here.
The glimpse away from the Venge, though, really nice way to make sure Venge isn't going to be applying any more damage to the fight. Weaver's in some trouble here, has the time lapse, and should be able to get away if necessary after that Static Storm silence ends. Walks right back into the sniper. Don't know if he's going to win this 1v1 there. The Assassinate goes off, and it looks like, unfortunately, the Weaver will fall. They've got Doom coming in, but his ulti, still a long cooldown left. They've got the Primal Split now if they need it. The little stun from the Earth Spirit Boulder would be pretty effective against the sniper, but looks like for right now, Radiant, they're content just to push their luck. I think this sniper is going to get punished for this, and it looks like, yes, with one more hit, Shadow Demon rakes in his 3rd kill of the game.
Yeah, Mojo playing well. I have to say, this is really a good sign for the Dire, because it's 10-14. They're ahead on kills. They're doing fine on net worth. It's fairly even, but they do have a slight edge. And you can see in these fights that the Radiant do have a teamfight advantage at this stage. They've got more damage. They've got more teamfight control. The spells of their supports very effective in these early engagements. But their two big cores, the Sniper and the Ember, still lagging very far behind on the net worth. And that's despite, I mean, you look at these teamfights, they seem to be doing well.
Nice triple man hoof stomp, though, followed up with a double edge. They're actually going for a decent amount of damage onto the Centaur. He doesn't have his pipe left over. He's going to get picked off. That's 2 kills on the Radiant team under their own tier 2 tower. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I'm a Centaur player myself. You see that big multi-hero hoof stomp, you're like, oh, I'm going for it, and then you don't bother to
Venge, please relax. Venge might be in some serious trouble here. One more tick of Thunderstrike. Not going to kill her off, but she is certainly not going to be able to participate in this fight. They want to go back in for the Disruptor. They will be able to do so, but Doom still pushing his luck here, trying to go back in. The Sniper still nipping away at his heels. The Assassinate should most likely be able to finish him off. Sniper not going to cast that Assassinate.
Did he not have mana for it?
No,
he did.
He has
definitely
plenty of
gone for
mana.
that kill.
Well, I think it's showing appreciation for the moment of mercy on the Weaver. There we go. The Assassinate comes in, and it will finally kill off the Doom. That false sense of security is really what gets you.
Yeah, he lost vision for a second. It is nighttime, so...
Did he, though? The creep wave was right there.
I think he must have. There's no other reason why you wouldn't Assassinate there. He had the mana the whole time, and as soon as the Doom walked into Ob's vision, that's when he cast it. So I'm sure that's what it must have been. Oh, bot lane. Ace.
Yeah, he goes and just gets a nice quick pick. Beastmaster didn't use that Primal Split there. Just got stunned up and locked down. Now it looks like Brewmaster will be going back in for some drums after the blink. Is that little stats item what's going to take to get him back in this?
It's a pretty standard brew build. You generally want auras on the hero just because as the game goes later, he doesn't provide as much himself in the team fights. So you just want items that can help your team out as well as yourself. And it gives him some extra HP. Like
Centaur! He's next leveling us. The Arcane Boots were just a stepping stone to get to the Lotus Orb.
Oh, smart. Smart. That's a very early Lotus. That could be absolutely huge. Against the Doom, against the Venge kit, as well as against the Shadow Demon. I really like this pickup. I still would rather have a Blink earlier on, but I can't argue that these two items very, very good together and will enable his team to team fight a lot more effectively. Lotus this early is just really strong.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the Venge missile just coming back and stunning her in the face, and although she is building core, she's still got, 1,200 HP and pretty low armor, so pretty easy to focus down if you've got her stunned up for a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, so many of these heroes have control spells. The Centaur, a very tanky fellow who wants to be on the front line, you just pop that on yourself, run in, and they can't initiate on you because nothing they do will work. So it gives you free license in the fight to do whatever you want, and that provides so much space for the Ember and the Sniper.
All right, smoke up from the Radiant squad, just kind of poking around. We've got a Disruptor able to go and ward the Roche Pit. His smoke, though, is going to pop, is it? Come on there. One more step forward would have popped that smoke.
Oh, so close.
Oh, there he goes. Smoke pops. They know someone's on the high ground, so Disruptor just going to scurry on out of there.
Yeah, he is under vision. But, okay, interesting choice for an Observer placement there.
I think it was meant to be a sentry. They go back and put the sentry out, but they don't have vision of the Observer on the cliff, so... Not able to get that one down.
So looking at the state of the game, Gushi has found his Desolator. The damage items are slowly starting to come out for the Dire. Bruised had his blink for a little bit, so their ability to take team fights a little bit stronger now. Still, I do think it is the Radiant with the advantage right now. And I'm curious as to what team is going to make the next move, whether it's the Radiant moving in.
It looks like the Radiant. They popped the Nighttime. There is going to be no glimpse on the Venge. There we go. They're able to get her back in. It looks like she's going to be bullied down. There's not really much she can do. She's got the Silence. The Assassinate comes in. Mask of Madness on the Night Stalker. She's barely alive. They needed like 2 more sniper shots to finish her off. The Glimpse still on cooldown. They can't get this kill. That was a lot of resources invested for one Venge kill, and they don't even find it. Meanwhile, Weaver gets a deny up top. He's going to be dishing out some damage to Bear, but he's got to be careful. That double edge could really mess the Weaver up.
Yeah, he's so low.
Oh, here we go.
Dodge out.
They are able to use that Infernal Blade and pop the Doom, so this Centaur is most likely going down. It's just who's going to be grabbing up the credit for that. Looks like the Doom Ticks will do the job here. The Weaver Bug, it's hanging on, but oh! Alright, Doom. There you go, son.
I thought for a second Weaver was just going to kill himself on the return. It was very, very close.
Oh,
But unfortunately for the Centaur, not quite enough damage. A nice first use of that Shadow Blade by Joydeep, catching him off guard.
Alright. Brewmaster has finished his drums. Doom has already had finished drums for quite some time now, so hopefully double drums will pay off, but the auras are not going to be stacking up.
It's still nice, cheap stats. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Ace here. And again, he has that blink. He had it pretty well timed, opted to go for a slightly later than usual blink, but definitely going to get some more use out of that. What does Beastmaster need to go next to really keep himself in these team fights?
Sorry, Brewmaster?
Yep. Did I say Beastmaster?
Vlad's is pretty standard on the hero. Shiva's Guard. He could stand to tank up a little bit. I think I would kind of prefer the Vlad's myself. It really helps out the Weaver a lot, and the Doom as well can benefit from it. So that would be my first choice. But if he wants to go for a more late game focused item, then Shiva's is certainly nice against the Sniper, the Ember, and the Centaur.
Ace is in a whole heap of trouble here. Disrupt coming back in. The Lotus Orb Disrupt is going to mean Shadow Demon is going to be popping out of there too. Gushi realizes he may have bitten off more than he can chew. The Doom ult is not up. Grim Reaper just chasing everyone down, getting that silence off on the Shadow Demon. But Gushi, their initial target, has found his way back to the safety of the tier 2s, and now it looks like Night Stalker's actually going to be the one in trouble. Man, this Doom just styling up. He is definitely pulling his weight for this team. Swap comes in. Bear goes for the hoof stomp. They will find this Weaver, but will he be able to get out here? Not going to be held in place. The Glimpse back in. They get him under that Static Storm. There we go. The Weaver will fall, and a nice little sleight of fist will secure the kill onto the Shadow Demon as well. Ace getting super low. There's going to be another sleight of fist. Can he actually pull this out? They both die. Everyone dies.
What a team fight. Ends up being pretty okay for the Radiant. The Ember, I believe... No, the Avenge got the kill first, so maybe that actually works out for the Dire. The Ember not getting that experience is pretty big, although if you look at the net worth, all of a sudden, Ember is shot up to top 3. And it wasn't that long ago that he was down in like 6th position, so this is really good for the Radiant. That they finally have that Battle Fury up on the Ember. He's got his Boots of Travel, he's got his key tools, and now he can actually start being effective.
Yeah, on the side of the Dire, it's a little bit tougher now. You talked about the early fight of the Radiant. We're really starting to see that as, once again, like you mentioned, the Ember and the Sniper really starting to stack up there with their items. So our Weaver, definitely going to be necessary to dish out a ton of damage. I like the early Deso pick, but it does come at the cost of the Lincolns. And, I mean, with that Lincolns-less Weaver, he's died 3 times. He just doesn't have the tools to sustain in these fights. Having a Lincolns would have prevented that Glimpse. He would have not gotten dragged back into that Static Storm that killed him in the last fight.
Yeah, it's a really hard life for Weaver just because the early Deso is so value, provides you so much damage, but it really is a very snowbally item in that if you don't get good kills and towers off of it, then it doesn't speed up your farming that much, and you're just so squishy. He's only got 940 health at 28 minutes into the game. He is absolute food for a lot of spells at this point. And I mean, he has damage, but if he doesn't live through the fights to dish it out, then it's kind of worthless. So you don't really want to go for the Lincolns first because it nerfs your damage too much, but at the same time, if you don't get that snowball rolling, it can be a problem. And he is now just in recovery mode. He's got to just try and dodge fights, catch up as best he can, because he will just feed in team fights at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those chicken and the egg things where you don't want to participate in team fights until you have your damage, but you don't want to participate in team fights until you have your defensive item and you can actually live through the team fights to get the kills.
Yeah, and it's tough. There's some very tanky heroes on the Radiant side right now. The Sniper, the Disruptor, the only exceptions to that. Ember, very escapable. So there's only so much the Weaver can do, even with his decent damage output. And I mean, the Centaur build paying off just with how much effective HP he has with this item build. Still no blink though, 30 minutes in.
I mean, he's opted to go back for the boots of travels. It's like a really, really long range blink if you think about it.
Well, and the thing is, he's still being effective in these fights. 4-4 and 8, not the worst score in the world, and he's sitting on top of the net worth by 2,000 gold. So the blink only really providing you benefits if you're fighting. It's not really the best farm enhancer. And the fact that he's gone for these items means that he can just jungle reasonably quickly with the return.
Oh, the timing on that Lotus Orb right there. Now he's moving in. Again, a blink would have been great, but he should still be able to clip with the hip stomp. And they do have that Doom ready, but Syndar might just be able to live through this here. He is pretty gosh darn tanky. The Venge, she might be able to slip away, and now Gucci comes in, trying to slap away some damage onto Bad. He does have a Remnant out. Is he going to be hopping back to that? Looks like nope, he will be dying. And now Disruptor, another one of the squishy targets, is still hanging around, but they can't catch up to him. Now Beastmaster blinks forward, but decides better of reinitiating here in the river.
Yeah, the Lotus Orb keeping Bear safe, and they won't end up finding anything else. Still, the Ember kill, very big. He was catching up very effectively, and that'll slow him down a lot. Bear in trouble here.
Nice play here. This Disruptor is just MVP in my book. He's just been going in. These kinetic fields have 100% been on point. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going down here. Really not much he can do, and actually going to give the kill to Doom there. He's really been picking up a lot of his team slack.
Yeah, the Silver Edge completed. Really nice against the Centaur because it cancels out the return. Makes Night Stalker a lot less effective in nighttime as well, so I like that and pick up. It's also just good stats for the hero. Silver Edge, pretty core on a lot of heroes that used to just build Shadow Blade, just because of the extra utility. And this actually provides some space for the Dire to get to work on the tower.
Now Sniper here, he's been split push and does not have a TP, so Dire, they could try to punish this, instead going for some push of their own. Weaver's dishing out a lot to this tower. Again, the Desolator really putting in the work, but nice hoof stomp and the Stampede to get the rest of the team up. Looks like this Beastmaster will not have a chance to Primal Split, and it's all going downhill here. Weaver's silenced up. Can they get him down before the time lapse? They do. That's a real unfortunate death for the Weaver, as he was pretty close to his next big item.
Yeah, Crippling Fear is not fun to play against as a Weaver. And the silencers you just see over and over again, just wrecking Bushi in the fights. Really rough for him to play up into. And a bit of a misplay from the Dire there, at least from Ace on the Brew, because Centaur just walked up to him and pushed them. I mean, he doesn't have a blink, you can see it coming, you know what's going to happen, and he was at half health. So just a little too greedy, sticking around, not respecting that control and not backing up when he could have.
Venge, I respect your choice to carry, but I don't agree with this build. Going for another Desolator after Weaver already prioritized it as item 1.
Yeah.
A little bit of miscommunication there.
You're just going on autopilot. This is the recommended item build, so this is what I'm getting next. It does booster damage, and I mean, if they're hitting different targets, it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, a bit of mis-synergy there. It's still not the worst thing, and she's got reasonable damage actually at this point with the 4 points up in Vengeance Aura. She's reasonably tanky too with the Sanjin Yasha, so if she stays alive in the fight, she provides a lot of extra damage output for the Weaver. Eventually, if he can actually stay alive to use it, and he has finally got the Perseverance picked up, working his way towards that Linkens. It's going to be very slow, but like I said, it's just a rough Weaver game in general right now.
Disruptor coming up, seeing what he can do to help his buddy here. Bear, still unaware that he could be in some serious damage. Stampede comes out. Doom dropped onto the Centaur. This Doom has something against the Centaur, but again, it's a super tanky hero. The Doom is not enough to kill him alone. So they're going to have to put some serious follow-up damage here if they want to get anything out of this kill. They're trying here, slapping out blades and whatnot, but again, I think the Doom could be saved up and better spent on heroes like the Ember Spirit, like the Sniper, that really would take a sufficient amount of damage from that, and the silence would pay off.
It was a bit of greed from the Doom, honestly. He went for the right click from the Silver Edge first and then tried to Doom, but that was enough time for the Centaur to get the Stampede off. If he Doomed immediately out of the Silver Edge, then there's no Stampede to get away. You maybe get that kill. And it's still worth it. I mean, obviously, the Centaur's not the ideal Doom target, but he's a very valuable kill right now, sitting on top of the net worth by 3,000 gold, which is not something I ever expected to say about a core Centaur.
Oh god, the tank is not going to stop here. He's going for a heart.
Well, yeah, of course.
Ugh.
Of course.
Ugh, it hurts. Would you have wanted to see something like an Assault Cuirass, or can you leave that to the brew?
Oh, heart is just way too good on Bear. It's a broken item on Centaur just because of how much damage return does. And it works on towers too, don't forget. So he can just walk up on the high ground and stand there, and the tower will kill itself on him, and he will be absolutely fine.
Yeah,
so it really makes sieging high ground a lot easier for the Radiant side.
He no longer even has to start calculating what Double Edge is going to do, because he will not even feel it.
Yeah, not even a little bit. And I mean, he is just so tanky. How do they burst through this right now? Maybe if he's the last hero alive, but they've been focusing him early in fights, and I think they're maybe at the point where you just got to ignore him and try and kill other people first.
Syndar has the TI6 cosmetic. It's autographed by Cap, not me. I'm resentful now. There we go. They're going back in here. Nice little static storm. Disruptor trying to keep himself alive, but I don't think it's going to be successful. Again, he's just so squishy. And now Syndar comes in, traps in his buddy. Unfortunately, not able to escape there. The Shadow Poison Collect will be doing the damage now. Nice little Lotus Orb stuns up the Venge, but Bear, he's just solo YOLO mode right now in the backlines. Night Stalker trying to make his worth, but he's just not as tanky, and it's showing. Look at him getting munched down there. Venge picks up the kill. Now they're going back in for the Centaur. Boulder Toss will connect. The Lotus Orb a little bit late, not going to be returning that stun. Can they actually get him down here? Ace is too low to continue the chase. Venge, though, still intent on going for this, has the magic missile, but the range is just too far out. I think Bear is just fine. He still has no blink, but somehow has not been punished for that.
Yeah, well, when he's got 3,400 health at 35 minutes, you just walk away, right? Like, what are they going to do? But that was a great fight. I have to shout out Pacacello. I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong. But there was a beautiful last-minute swap onto there that allowed Ace to get
Look at this fucking Centaur!
Yeah, he is just without fear.
And now he wishes he has a blink right now. Thunderstrike, will it be doing enough damage? One tick short of taking out the Venge, and they aren't able to catch up to her. Meanwhile, Ember Spirit gets a kill on the Shadow Demon, so at least getting something for their time. And again, Syndar just clearing up. Doom gonna be trying to go in for this. Uses that little Infernal Blade, does pop the Doom out. Again, it's a really high value target, but Dire, they're just nowhere around. They cannot focus him down, and Syndar is gonna be able to tank through this ult just fine. So again, Doom now down for another 130 seconds, and they aren't able to collect their prize. They get the Disruptor. He's a little consolation, but they've really got to make sure they start focusing the Centaur.
Yeah, and they've got to keep Gucci alive. That's the bigger problem. That fight works reasonably okay for them, considering how deep they were, but losing the Weaver is just such a huge problem right now. And now the Doom going down as well.
I mean, this is a huge comeback coming in from the early laning phase. It looked like Radiant were just really uncoordinated, didn't have a whole lot going for them, but honestly, I think it comes down to just ultimate free farm on the Centaur for like 15 minutes in the game, and it made enough space for the Ember Spirit to pick up his items. He's now got Battle Fury and Daedalus on top of his travels, and Sniper, he's having an impact as well after a thoroughly lost lane.
Yeah, and a lot of this, I have to say, is also down to some really solid support playing from the Night Stalker and the Disruptor. Like you said, Disruptor playing really, really well this game, despite being lowest on the net worth by a good 3k gold. He's still having a huge impact in these fights. And that's really showing in how the team fights are going right now.
Grim Reaper, he should be able to get away from this. I don't know here if our Sniper's going to be so lucky. He will be killed, and that's a big kill to get. Shadow Demon, he's collected a lot of big bounties this game. What's the most effective way to make use of gold on Shadow Demon?
I mean, he's got his basic utility items already. The Force Staff, the Aether Lens, very core on the Zero. Beyond that, I mean, he could actually start going for an Axe, potentially, if he feels like it. The 3 charges of Demonic Purge is very, very strong, and it tanks him up a lot, too, so it actually increases his survivability in fights by a decent amount. Wouldn't mind seeing that item. It looks like he's going for something else, though. Helm of Iron will picked up. So could be going into Vlad's first team, maybe?
Nah, it's a Veil.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
I mean, he's just ramping up the magic damage, but you look at it, and you're looking for a small AoE of damage that a Veil really helps out, which is, it's great if you got Ravage, it's awesome if you've got Chaotic Offering, but there's really not teamfight AoE on the Dire, so a Veil's going to be much more single target, and the really important heroes, like the Centaur, already have that magic resistance anyway.
Yeah, I agree it's not the ideal item, I think, in this scenario, but it does still provide him some really solid cheap stats. So if he's looking to just tank up a little bit, do a little bit more damage with his right clicks, because the Shadow Demon right clicks, right?
Look at that, 102. How do you deal with that? Oh,
Look
God.
at that swag. He's actually going to catch the sniper here, potentially. Nope, never mind.
Oh, he's going to be the one caught out here. We got a glimpse back into that little field of pain, and this is yucky so far, but oh, there we go. Venge gets the kill. Centaur coming in, though. They're going to turn this around. Suddenly, Venge is going to get focused. Gushi hops into that time lapse. The vision from Radiant, unfortunately, going to be their bane here, not able to catch up to that Weaver. I mean, you've got gold for days. Centaur has now got a Soul Booster and could pick up a gem if necessary.
Yeah. Now, the big thing is that as this game goes later, and as the Dire get more farm, the Centaur is going to fall off. He's very, very tanky, but the hero only does so much damage, and he doesn't really build right-click. His double edge falls off as the enemy heroes do tank up eventually. So having him at the top of the net worth by this much, it's great right now, and it's enabling them to take some really good fights, but this is not necessarily the hero that you win the game off of. That needs to be on the Ember, who is getting big. But he's not quite there yet, and if I were the Dire, I'd be a lot worried if those top two net worth positions were reversed.
Yeah, I mean, the Ember definitely can come back. He's got to stop dying in these fights. What's going to be the catalyst for that? Is it a Linken's? Is it another Lotus Orb? Is it just raw armor stats?
I like the Linken's here. It's nice against the Doom. It's nice against the Venge. You could... I don't like the BKB. The Linken's is probably the better option. He could also go for maybe a Manta style. It's nice for pushing, and it also, if you pop it off at the right time, can make it harder for Venge to get the swap off. You can disjoint some things. Make them hesitant about which hero you are and which one to go on. Give you time to remnant away. So that's an option, but I do prefer the Linken's.
Speaking of Linken's, Gushi, he's going to be picking it up now, flying in the recipe, so Weaver will finally have that for the next big engage. 41 minutes in, Deso Linken's feels a little bit skinny, but should still really be a huge factor in beefing up the Weaver and keeping him alive.
Yeah, it's a very important item for him, and it's pretty key, but we're also talking about 40 minutes into the game. I mean, it's not necessarily his fault. It's been a really rough game for him with the silences, but this is no longer enough for him. He needs another 2 items at this stage. And
Sniper. He manages to scooch away here, and oh god, he had the escape, but doesn't go for it. They bring in the Centaur here. The rotation in will at least make this an even trade. They pop into the nighttime here as Grim Reaper just wants to unleash the pain, and there we go. There's going to be the Shadow Demon just stripped of his existence. Gushi, one of the lone survivors. You got Beastmaster just scuttling through the jungle, but I think he's going to regret that rotation. Sleight of Fist doesn't really do a whole lot of damage to him and not in range of Searing Chains, but Sniper didn't need to go down there, but it did allow for the rotation of the Centaur and turning that into a 2 for 3.
Yeah, they do get the Sniper, which is decent, but Sniper is not the problem in this game right now.
Yeah.
He's still irritating and has some decent damage, but it's this Ember, this Centaur that you need to really worry about, and at least Gushi survives. The fact that the Weaver is involved in that fight and doesn't go down is actually pretty huge for them. You can start working this next item.
Unfortunately, he might be in some trouble here. Look at this Centaur sieging high ground. Gushi hurting himself on the return here. He's just got to get more tankability, because look at that. He's going to have to go time-lapse himself just to get to a decent amount of HP. Doesn't have any lifesteal. Brewmaster hasn't picked up the Vlads, and it seems like that's something Dire are missing here. Doom, well, he has it, but he's still dead.
And are we seeing... Okay, there's an AC on Doom, and there's a Hyperstone on the Brewmaster, so maybe some miscommunication there. It looks like the Brew was going to be building an Assault Cuirass, but now he may be going back for that Ags with the point booster. Maybe Doom called him on and said, hey, I'm building the AC. You don't need to. But this is a little bit unfortunate because, I mean, what these items on Doom, they're very standard for Doom, but they're also standard on Brew. And you've got these two heroes that both want to build these aura items. It kind of makes it hard for Ace to itemize.
They really fill the same niche. They're kind of these team fight initiators. They're pretty sustainable throughout the team fight. Of course, one's mid and one's more jungly, but it's not like they're radically different in terms of what they bring to the game. And now Hoof Stomp connects. Gucci, again, gotta live through this to make it impactful. And there's Brasius Golf. He's moving really deep into this. They might be able to go on him. Nice Doom on the weak sniper. Can they get him down? They're bringing the focus back in. Well, now they're turning things onto the Disruptor. Static Storm connecting onto 3. Really well placed there, but Disruptor does still lose his life. Now another Hoof Stomp double edge. This Centaur is a machine, and Gucci, getting low, is able to time-lapse off a lot of the damage, and Doom, unfortunately, going to be slapped away by the Ember Spirit. That was just, I believe, the Flame Guard doing some slow, steady burn damage. Searing Chains onto the Venge. Her escape seems unlikely as well, and she will be swapping herself potentially to freedom, but no, an ultra kill for the Ember Spirit. Now Fireboy here has picked up a Radiance. Not super typical.
Yeah, it's a little unusual, but the thing is that the heroes on the Dire side, only the Weaver is a natural MKB builder, and so that mischance on the right clicks is actually going to be pretty huge. I say that Bench can actually build an MKB as well, but the problem with that fight is everyone was focusing Bear. Everyone spent the entire fight trying to right-click him and just killing themselves on the return. You've got to focus other heroes. You cannot try and bring him down first. It will not work. He's got 4,500 HP and 22 armor.
He's got an Octarine now as well. That's dumb right there. He's going to go ahead and get himself disrupted up, but I think he's going to be just fine with this. They bring in Bad as well now. Fresh off the back of that ultra kill, he's feeling beefy. They're going to be able to burn down these Brewlings a fair amount. I mean, look at the Shadow Demon just from the right clicks. He's already got himself so low. TP out, coming in for the Centaur, and they're not going to be able to go ahead and break that with the Hurled Boulder. Just didn't get it off in time, I guess.
Yeah, you can't right-click the Centaur at this point. You leave him and ignore him and don't attack him and hope that you can kill the rest of the team, and then he just has to leave because he's 1v5, ideally. I mean, that's a tall order, but that's what you've got to do. That's the only win condition, because focusing this guy will just get your entire team killed.
Alright, Sniper here. He's going to go ahead, take a decent amount of damage. No Doom available, but look at this. Just the Scorched Earth might be doing enough. The move speed, though, is it going to be there? Centaur is able to get off the ultimate, and now it looks like Centaur coming in to protect up his buddy. Small little Sniper going back in. Pops the Assassinate on the Doom. Don't really know if that's the play. Wasn't really contributing a whole lot. And will be killed off in the back line. Gucci with the wraparound gets it done. And now he's going to Scoochie himself back in. They are going to have the missile. That's cool. As Centaur just gets completely flip-flopped around here. Now again, attacking him, it hurts. He's got that Lotus Orb. It will burn down. Now he doesn't have Pipe. He doesn't have Lotus. His heart is broken. But there's going to be that Disruptor once again to go in with a clutch kinetic field. Radiant, they just assemble and start tearing apart the Dire. It was a, not perfect fight from the Radiant, but they turned that around just as much as it could be.
That Static Storm set up for the Ember to come in. Oh man, all set up by the 3-man Hoof Stomp from the Centaur. Beautifully played. And it's just, he's so hard to deal with right now. They're now going for full Mjolnir, which he's got. So he can put the buff on himself, and they hurt themselves even more when they attack him.
But again, you talked about that Centaur falling off a little bit. What's going to be that drop-off point? Is it when Dire has items to deal with it? Is it just natural levels? Is it buildings? What's going to be the point where Centaur is no longer the most ferocious hero on the map?
Well, if everyone's 6-slotted, then Centaur's not that good. The reason he's doing so well in fights right now is because he's just got such a massive gold lead, 10k ahead of the nearest person on the Dire side. But if this game goes long enough and the Dire heroes, I mean, he's 6-slotted basically, his progression is going to stop. And now other heroes will start catching up, and he'll stop being as effective if the Dire can get items on themselves. And Gucci has saved up 2.7k gold, so slowly starting to work towards another item. And, if they ever do get a kill on this Centaur, they are going to get so much money out of it.
Yeah, he's definitely raking in the kills here. 11 for 17. I like the choice to give the Aegis to the Night Stalker here. He's one of those heroes that I feel should be having a bigger impact. He's got a ton of assists, but in these team fights, it seems like he's relatively easy to focus down. So now he can just go in, be a little bit more aggressive, and not really worry that he's just going to drop immediately.
Yeah, he's tried to go for a more right-click oriented build, which works for the first 20 minutes or so, but after that, you just don't do enough damage because you don't have the same farm priority. Speaking of which, though, he's got 15k net worth, but he doesn't really have great right-click items. So he's got the Abyssal Blade, his attack speed isn't fantastic, he's got the Mask of Madness, but that makes him vulnerable. Stampede.
Syndar, he's really feeling the burn and not having that Blink Dagger. That would have been an easy triple man hoof stomp, but unfortunately Stampede is not enough here. I mean, the return, the Lotus Orb, the everything, he's just tanking through this. He's just walking up to the high ground like it's his job, but he is going to get doomed. It looks like Syndar will go down. Brewmaster gets 1,300 gold for that kill, and this could be a turning point in the game. Sniper now just trying to run himself away. Nightstalker's coming in, trying to bully up the rest of the Dire team. Gushi getting low. He's going to be rotating in very deep here. They've got that little sentry to scout him out. And now Brewmaster's going to be recollecting into himself fairly shortly and might be in a pretty poor position. They've got the Shadow Demon, but it's not going to protect him forever, and that will be a dead Brewmaster. This fight is looking pretty grim now. They're just turning it back around. Dire weren't able to disengage quick enough, and they will just start bleeding out. Doom, the only survivor, but the Centaur kill is still crucial.
It's a good kill. It's a little bit unfortunate that the money goes to the Doom, or to the Brewmaster. Probably the least effective of the cores to have that money. You would really have loved to have it on the Weaver, but that's not going to be the case, and this will be a full lane of racks, I think.
Yeah, they're trying to burn through this backdoor protection. They may end up losing this little Sniper here. Silence up on the Doom. He can still right-click. In fact, the burn damage, Sniper just going to scrape by with 20 HP. Grim Reaper looking for the kill on Doom. He's walking the wrong way. Your racks are that way, son. Go that way. I don't think he's going much of anywhere.
Yeah.
He's got it. Okay. Nightstalker, a little ADD here, stops to alt chat, and that will be a TP out from the Doom.
And they save their racks.
Okie dokie.
There's 4 heroes dead.
Why did...
And the Radiant don't get the racks.
Why did Radiant disengage? There's nothing stopping them from just chipping down these things.
I have no idea. First of all, you don't need to chase the Doom that far. He's just a distraction.
Space created, man.
Yeah, totally. I mean...
I don't have my space created ping anymore. Report.
That is a huge deal, because that was a golden opportunity to get a lane of racks. And, I mean, at this stage in the game, it's 50 minutes in. One lane, not the end of the world. But it's still a really big loss of gold for the Dire side if they have a full lane of super creeps. So the fact that that doesn't happen actually gives a breath of hope for the Dire squad here, as now Gushi, working on the MKB, has one component, has money for a second, still about 2,100 gold away, but at least he's making some kind of progress. And like we already talked about, the Centaur and the Ember are basically almost completely stacked out.
Oh, swap coming back in. Ember Spirit dishing out some damage, but look at that. Easy kill right there. They are going to pop the Aegis out. Now Centaur comes in. This is where the fight's going to start to look good for the Radiant. They are able to get off that Primal Split. Venge immediately picked off. Nice Static Storm allows them to get the Doom as well. You look at this Gushi. He just wanted to come in. He wanted to help, but will end up taking a little bit of damage from that Assassinate. Glimpse back in onto the Shadow Demon. Not going to get stuck up by that Kinetic Field. In fact, may make it back to base in time along with the Earth Panda, but they are not going to be able to save this set of bottom racks. They are finally going to be able to break this high ground here. Radiant getting a full lane of super creeps down in this bottom, and they show no signs of backing off. With Venge still dead, you're relying on your Weaver and your Brew for damage, and it's really not happening right now.
Absolutely. And the Centaur just stands under a tier 3 tower and he dies. I mean, that's the stage of the game we're at.
Well, decent focus here onto Nightstalker. Are they going to be able to turn this here? Shadow Demon, Sacrificial Lamb eating up a ton of damage. Now Brewmaster's able to go in, but the threat of the Sniper just sentry turreting on the back lines is too much, and Dire just can't deal with this right now. Bear, he's going in. He's just laying in to the set of racks. He's dealing with, like, literally the weight of the world beaten down on him, and he is just not...
Weaver would have killed himself if he kept right-clicking.
And
he just has to back off.
Raid boss Centaur, man.
2 lanes down, things looking absolutely dire for the Dire side.
Hey.
Yeah. It has to be done every single game. And Brasty's Golf, he can just rotate to the top lane or not.
Nah, he's got to go back and chill with his buddies here. He picks up a Shadow Blade, another interesting pickup. Syndar, he himself is just slotted to the max, so picks up a little Moon Shard. He's now hitting hard. He's very difficult to kill, but Dire are scaling up. Venge has now the Aghanim Scepter, so her illusion can do damage after death. It brings her a little bit more utility to the fights when you count on her going down anyway. Brewmaster with that finish Ags like you talked about earlier. Weaver still working on the MKB, getting very close. And Doom going to be picking up an Ags for himself as well. Ember Spirit? Alright, son. You did not need to be there. He had remnants. I think he just got silenced down unexpectedly.
You're going. Yeah, that was just bizarre. He was completely alone.
Swap back. They're trying to focus him down. His Lotus Orb's on cooldown. This is the time to stun him. Look at the damage they're doing. He's able to get off the hook stomp, stunning everyone up, but the Shadow Demon collects the money. 1,200 gold for him. Now all the Dire have to do is escape with their lives right now, and they are coming out on top. The Doom comes back in on the Night Stalker. Sniper should be able to get a couple pickups here. The Vengeful Spirit goes down, but again, with her Aghanim Scepter, her illusion is still up in the fight. Brassia's Gulf might not be able to escape here. Apparently Centaur is a noob, according to the Ember Spirit, so there's a little pot kettle thing going on, but there we go. Sniper getting slapped down.
Yeah. I mean, that was one colossal throw from the Radiant side right there. The Ember going in by himself and dying, then the rest of the team thinking they could fight, but the Ember is such a huge percent of the damage right now, and we talked about earlier how the Centaur does fall off. You saw it in that fight. He's got all these tanky items, but when he's being focused by 3 heroes, it does not matter. He gets bursted. Now that items are starting to come in, and his effectiveness with this 32,000 net worth that he's accumulated, it's going to start feeling like he isn't that valuable anymore.
I had my doubts about this carry Venge, but since picking up that Ags, it seems like her teamfight impact has just shot through the roof. Let's take a look at the net worth chart. It is still 30,000 for the Radiant squad. That is a unbelievably steep turnaround, but we're 60 minutes in. It's possible. Unlikely, but definitely possible. Ace here. Gonna get focused away. We talked about that casual Hyperstone pickup. Not gonna scale it into Assault Cuirass as the Doom already picks one up, but could just moon shard it. Feel good about it.
I mean, a Mjolnir wouldn't be terrible on him either. If he's getting focused by someone, pop that on himself.
Do your pandas get the Mjolnir procs too?
I don't think they do.
Okay.
But you may be able to. Actually, I don't know the.
I don't think they do because like Sniper Manta buddies don't get it. So.
Yeah, I think you can put the buff on another hero before you split, and it sticks. So you just buff the Weaver with it, and then split, and then. It's not the most synergistic, but since he's already using up the item slot, it could be worth.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see if Tesla Bears are really going to be the solution here, as the Dire squad, they're grouping up. Hasn't been a whole lot of smoke play going on. Again, we are in pub mode, Disruptor. Not going to get scouted out. The Dire have really dropped the ball on wards. You can't blame them. They've just been so desperately behind and cornered into their base. But, okay. Something's going down here. I mean, Dire, they sniff something. They know something's up. Radiant getting a ton of information off the back of this Disruptor right now. They know exactly where everyone is, and will the fight start now? They could just drop the Static Storm and hope for the best, as, well, the rest of the crew is moving up onto the high ground now. They've got the Ember Spirit, and they're going to want to start things off now. Their targets, though, looks like they're scrambling here. They're going to go into the Shadow Demon. He immediately pops off that little, purge there, and there we go, just collecting some souls. Bear, he goes in. Now he's gonna pop his pipe. Can they focus him? The rest of his team has bailed out. It's Centaur versus the World of Dire. They're focusing him down. They're doing it here. He will end up going out. Look at the Dire just start cleaning up here. Sniper doing a lot of work. This little sentry turret build on the back lines, but they get down the Ember Spirit. Suddenly, it's just Sniper capable of outputting damage. The Yule's gonna be buying the Panda some time. Doom is still alive. Can they go for a second consecutive team wipe? It looks like that may be the play. The Shadow Blade can't last forever. Unfortunately, the Dire have to rotate back to get their racks, but that was just about the best team fight you could ever ask for if you're Dire. The Centaur's team just kind of left him to go up onto the high ground by himself.
They were focusing the Venge on the backside, but that is perfect for the Dire because the Ember actually got the last hit on the Venge, so he was going through that entire team fight with minus 36% damage, but the Illusion was still alive, so the Venge team was
She was basically still there, yeah.
36% damage. That saved the fight. That Ags in that fight won them that team fight very, very hard. And the fact that they burst her down first is like, okay, thanks, I guess. I'm still going to have an impact, and
yeah,
that is all of a sudden doesn't do damage.
That is the perfect fight. Focus the Venge, get her illusion up, get the aura rolling, and meanwhile the Centaur is trying to deal with himself while Gushi just right-clicking. This Weaver now definitely feeling online, has that Monkey King bar, so no more Radiance miss chance, and also just the mini bashes are quite fun as well. 4k gold on the bug. What do you go next?
He could consider upgrading to a Hurricane Pike. He could also go back for a Butterfly, as there is no MKB on any of these heroes. The Sniper could build one, but no one else really wants to. The Ember kind of 6-slotted. The Centaur doesn't really have a lot of use for an MKB, so I think Butterfly is a pretty good item here.
All right, Radiant Squad definitely not anticipating being in this position. Look at the net worth drop-off here. We've got the Matterhorn being built up, but now 15,000. They have effectively halved their net worth advantage in the last 5 minutes with 2 consecutive team wipes.
Yeah, and this is where the recriminations start. Like, how did we lose this starts. The game is definitely not over, but you just look at the gold on the cores, all of a sudden, Weaver has items. And it gets harder for them to deal with him now. He's tankier. He doesn't die in a single static storm anymore. And with the Venge, like this carry Venge build actually buffs the Weaver up so much in terms of damage done in fights. Venge is one of those funny heroes where it's kind of hard to see her impact, but that 36% damage is absolutely enormous. And she's also got a completed Diffusal Blade now. Not sure if we mentioned that. So against an Ember Spirit who wants to have that extra mana for the Remnant away at the end of the fight, if necessary, really strong.
Here we go, top lane, double man hoof stomp, starting things out well for the Radiant, but the rest of the Dire, they're not going to let this one go down. They do get off the Primal Split. Now the break coming out onto the Centaur. He gets off his Lotus Orb, he gets off his Pipe, he's doing the damage, and there is going to be a doomed up Doom. Unfortunately, he gets Lotus Orbed and ends up dooming himself. That sucks, but now the Earth Panda is still going to be up. The Sniper, he's burned down. The Weaver doing so much damage, able to time-lapse off. Can they actually get the kill on the Centaur? And he will end up going out. They lose the Disruptor as well. Gushi's still feeling healthy and alive, and Bad is one of the only cores left up. Ace gonna be moving in. Okay, Ember Spirit goes back in for this, but that might end up costing him. More bugs latching on, the clap coming in as well, and the stomp. Oh no, they've got that kill. They may end up losing their brew here as his Primal Split is still gone, but the Doom comes back in. Gushi still spraying out the damage. Oh gosh, the damage coming in from our little Shadow Fiend as well, Shadow Demon rather, is doing an amazing job. And now the third team wipe comes in. Dire are doing it. They're shutting down the Radiant. Just like you said, as soon as the items come out on these Dire cores, the Centaur is going to be a whole lot less scary, and the rest of his team is a little malnourished.
Yeah, and that was a dieback on the Centaur. And, I mean, the crazy thing is, the Dire won that fight even with the Doom dooming a Lotus Storm hero instead of the Ember Spirit. Like, that fight could have gone even better for them. But I also have to call out Motar with the Aghanim Scepter. Those triple demonic purges just doing so much work kiting heroes around. When you've got a maneuverable hero like the Weaver, he can just duck in and out. And if you're trying to chase him down, having a demonic purge on you makes you feel just completely useless. So really nice synergy coming out from this Dire lineup now that we're 60 plus minutes into the game.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a long one, but honestly, after this next push, after the respawn of Radiant Heroes, this net worth is going to be at 0, and that sure as hell benefits our Dire squad. When you've got heroes that are definitely climbing the ranks, sure, the net worths of the Centaur is still going to be above our Dire cores, but if it's not translating to kills, objectives, teamfight wins, then it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. Absolutely not. And, I mean, if he can die in 5 seconds or less with this item build, then he has served his purpose. He no longer really has a role in the game, beyond just initiating.
I mean, is this...
He's got no blink, so he can't really initiate.
Is this Radiant's fault for not ending quick enough, or is it just a natural progression that's going to happen no matter what?
I don't think... I mean, there were a couple misplays. The Emperor dying, if you remember, by himself at the bot racks. And then not being available for the fight top. That was the first major turnaround for the Dire, where they killed the Ember first, and then they fought 4v5 and won the fight, wiped the team. That was an unnecessary fight. They could have just chosen to back without the Weaver, but I mean they were in a very advantageous position, and you can't really blame them for feeling like they had the edge, that they could take the fight. In retrospect, it looks like a misplay. But the next team fight was absolutely a throw. So I don't want to say it's all on them. There's been some really good play from the Dire as well, but maybe just some disagreement in the squad, some failure to capitalize on timings. They have almost got mega creeps, but it just honestly doesn't feel like it. And you look at the Dire lineup, you don't immediately think, oh, these guys are great at pushing out creep waves, but they've been doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, you got to give huge commends to the Dire here just for keeping a level head. Like 60 minutes into the game, you're about to get mega creep. There's a Centaur that's been styling on you all game, and you somehow manage to keep together, keep really nice cohesive team fights and not get triggered. That is an accomplishment in itself. Now Wave of Terror into the pit. Well, that's a nice little timing right there. Grim Reaper going back in. There is going to be a stun up on the Venge, but again, all right, focus the Venge. Get that illusion up. Now Venge illusion going to be doing a lot of work. That negative damage aura coming back in. Sniper is able to clean up the illusion, so Venge's impact in the fight is now done. Silence coming in onto the Brewmaster, and they are going to glimpse him back, but he's right into the heart of the fight here. Once that silence ends, he can go for the primal split. Will he be able to get it off in time? He's thinking about it. He's going to get focused and will end up getting it done. The Sniper is already out. The main damage sources are now running away. Oh, this poor little Disruptor just getting two-shot now by Gushi on the Weaver, who's got another 4K gold to his name. TP out by the Ember. He will be able to get away, but Dire looking like they are now completely in control of this map.
Yeah, the Roche doesn't go down. That could have been the saving grace for the Dire for their last push to get mega creeps.
The Radiant?
Yeah, the Radiant. Sorry, but that won't happen now, and the Dire could actually potentially take Roche for themselves.
Oh, this is a pretty major kill, though. The Weaver goes down and feeds a ton of gold to the Ember. That's going to be about 900 gold going straight to him. And he, again, is just a couple shots away from mega creeps. He is breaking backdoor protection, but looks like he's going to bail out. Cannot stand up to the Venge, who has respawned.
Yeah, but he does have buyback critically, and that's one thing that you also have to mention is that this Ember has been consistently caught without buyback. The hero's really, really strong at being able to come back into the fight thanks to those boots of travel, and thanks to the remnants as well. So he's a pretty good hero to have buyback on, but he's been lacking it in almost every single one of these team fights. And the Weaver holding on to his, he won't use it right away and should be able to save it. It looks like Bear is trying to solo Roche. He will be able to get it, but
oh, Doom though.
This guy, not the biggest deal.
Doom could just silver edge. He's not even going to silver edge in. He's just walking in. He has no fear. This is a very, very different playstyle from the Dire than we would have expected 20 minutes ago, where everyone was just scattering in fear of the Centaur.
Okay.
What?
The Sniper just picked up a Skull Basher.
Good work, son. That's not the item you want.
Read the item.
Bash
range chance is 10%.
And if you're looking for a bash, well, there's an item called the Monkey King Bar that's just going to be a hell of a lot more effective for you.
You also have a headshot. Like this is like literally one of the worst item pickups you can get on a Sniper at this stage of the game.
I mean, if you're lacking lockdown, like maybe he wants to go for like an Abyssal, which is not great either. But, like, you're not going to get deep enough into the fight to even use that thing, and MKB is just better in pretty much every conceivable way. Yeah, that may be the last straw for the Radiant here. Bad, going to be moving in, has that Lotus Orb. Steering Chain's off the mark, but they've still got the stomp here. Venge, again, going to be focused out. She's got that Illusion coming back in. Looks like the Illusion is going to get focused down as well. That's all of... yeah, it's all of Dire's real heavy damage now on the line. It's really up to the Weaver now in this next fight.
This could be bad. They're down one hero for 100 seconds. Roche is available. The Radiant can go for that if they want. And there's only one melee rack standing between them and Mega Creeps. And they're going to go for it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an Aegis pickup here. At this point, who do you give the Aegis to? It looks like Nightstalker has a slot for it. He hasn't really been the most impactful since the early game. Again, you talked about him going for that right-click build that just naturally falls off after 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah, and they give it to Bad, which is absolutely the right decision. Although he drops his Battle Fury for it.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's the play. Keep the Battle Fury, drop the Octarine or the Radiance. Honestly, the Weaver has an MKB, so the Radiant's really not doing a whole lot of good anymore.
Ace, he's going to get focused down here and will not be able to go for the primal split. This is huge here. Switching over to buyback, he will be able to get himself back into the fight. Immediately does so. Now there's going to be another Doom onto the Doom. Got to pay attention to those Lotus Orbs, man, as now Doom just has to really get himself back in the fight. It's Gushi laying in the damage, and meanwhile there is going to be a Mega Creeps attempt coming out from the sniper up in the top lane. Really surprised the rest of his team hasn't joined in for that effort. Grim Reaper wanting to go in for this, realizing very quickly that he does not have the damage to get this done. One more slap onto the Night Stalker means that Brewmaster picks himself up 800 gold, and he's going to be moving forward with the Primal Split at the ready. And they're going to be trying to really focus down this sniper. The Rax does go down. It is Mega Creeps for the Dire right now. So Radiant, they got what they wanted. Can they escape without any more casualties? They're bringing back in the Centaur, and now the Doom is once again in trouble. He's just going to be crawling himself away. He's relatively tanky and will end up getting burned by the Ember Spirit. So Radiant coming out the victors in this fight, but Dire are certainly not going to be going down without giving it everything they've got. They bring back in the Vengeful Spirit, who has respawned after her death in the bottom lane and gets off the stun on the Ember. Meanwhile, Gushi just going to town. They get the Centaur down. He has buyback, but is it even worth it at this point? Bad, taking so much damage. His Aegis has already been burned down. Triple kill for Gushi, and that is another consecutive team wipe on to the Radiant. Dire are just keeping a level head, keeping themselves together. They've got one tower between them and an exposed Ancient, but they're really pulling it off.
It's still very rough for them, though. Mega Creeps coming in. They don't have great heroes at pushing the wave. And there are two buybacks on the Radiant side, both on the Ember and the Centaur, the key heroes. If those buybacks aren't there, maybe you can push down mid and just throne it. But with them, that's going to be a tall order. And now there's a Radiance on the Brew. That actually could be huge. No MKBs on any of these Radiant heroes.
How's that Basha working out for you, Snipper?
Yeah, not so much.
Well, it's time here. We are at 70 minutes into the game. The Dire are feeling safe, pushing out of their base and going in for some return high round. And if they actually score some racks here, that's going to be huge. It's going to really equal out the Mega's disadvantage. And honestly, I think at this point, Dire could just go straight in for tier 4. It's just, there's nothing left to lose. You've got one more fight left in you. May as well make it the big one. They're going in the swap, and they're going to try to focus down this Night Stalker. Switching back over to buyback. Well, he ain't got it, and they're moving back in. Look at the sniper just getting burned down. It's all going to shit right now. There's Bad just taking it, and he doesn't have buyback as well. Centaur brings himself back in. It's going to do a lot of damage to the Doom here, and Gushi burning himself down. Goes for the time lapse. Ember, he's not in this fight anymore. Midrax is collected. Hoof Stomp there to kill off the Venge illusion. But again, if Dire can somehow manage to bring down this Centaur, it'll be super worthwhile. They're bringing in their damage source. Weaver moving up, but thinks better of this, as fighting without the Venge is still risky. You're lacking a little bit of control.
Yeah, but if Bear dies, this game is over.
Meanwhile,
Ember did die back, but
Shadow
the base is
Demon,
in trouble.
he can't deal with this. They have to rotate someone else, so it's going to have to be a 2-3 split. Bear moving in. He's looking to finish it all right here, but this is so dangerous. Again, he bought back. He cannot afford to go down right now. He's going to get disrupted up. Gushi being very, very careful with his life right now. Again, the return doing some serious work, and they will get the Centaur down. 100 seconds without a Centaur, and now it's just up to the Dire to clear their base and push in. There's very little gas left in the Radiant tank.
What was that play?
He was trying to be the big boy to go in. Didn't anticipate all of Dire rotating back as well. Net worth? Look at it!
This is over. The Dire just have it. No Centaur for 78. No Ember for 30. That gives them enough time to get to the throne. And with Weaver's damage, they take it pretty fast. There are boots of travel up on Ace, who's back in the base defending, so he can come join. I think this is just it. I think they just won.
I think so too here. They've got to fight their way through a couple more wads of Mega Creeps in top lane, and bot still pushing in pretty effectively, but as long as there's not going to be a whole lot of damage coming in. Now, they have wasted a little bit of time just going in trying to clear out their base, so there are going to be TPs in from damage dealers like the Sniper, the Ember Spirit's back here, and they're going to be going back in. A Doom popped out this time. It's not going to get slapped back onto the Doom himself, but they will still end up losing the Doom. Gushi just running for his life here. Going to go ahead and Manta off that little assassinate shot. Meanwhile, the Ancient under attack for the Dire side. They fought so hard to get here. They finally have a foothold back into this game, but they just got to keep their structures up. And it seems like again and again they're getting forced back from the Radiant base.
This is such a rough situation. They're not making that push happen, the initial push after they wiped them the first time. it makes it so hard, right? Because the waves are always going to be pushing in. Dire or Radiant are always going to be able to know where they are because you always see where the enemy is when there's one groups up. The waves are just constantly in.
Little stun coming back in. Centaur misses the hoof stomp and is going to have to retreat again, not making the same mistake he made before. His buyback is still not available. He cannot afford to go down here. Now Grim Reaper moving in, might be able to focus on the Vengeful Spirit. They're going to be going back in, getting the break on the Brewmaster, but he does have his ultimate to get it off, and that's going to be a nice Abyssal Blade dropped on him. He can't get out of this one, but he is able to go get that Primal Split off, and now Grim Reaper just focused up in a wad of illusions. They're going to be going now in for this Emperor Spirit as well. Look how fast he goes down. Sniper finishes off the Vengeful Spirit, but again, her illusion just doing her dirty work now, tossing out the stun, and Sniper will lose his life as well. There are no buybacks on the Radiant side. Dire have persevered 74 minutes into the game, and it looks like they should be able to close this one out as long as they can actually get to the throne in the next 70 seconds.
Yeah, they've got all the time in the world. Shadow Demon going to stay back in the base, force out the waves. Venge buys back. Has no route to travel, but can just run down mid with her colleagues. And really all it takes is even just the Weaver. With 60 seconds, well, maybe he can't get to the throne and kill it in 60 seconds, but with the Venge there as well, I mean, these fights would not be going nearly as well if they didn't have a Venge. The damage amp that this hero is providing to Gushi is
sitting
just
on
doing
Gushi's
so
band
work.
of Elfskin, man. That's a tribute.
And yeah, I mean, 40 seconds. They're almost at the base. And it won't take them long to shoot through these structures.
Again,
I mean,
the double desos.
Bit of an anticlimactic way to end when there's no GG button, but I think this is it. I think they've done it.
Yeah, they're rotating in the Doom as well, just leaving their base pretty much undefended. Shadow Demon going to town, but only dealing with one more wave. There we go, the tier 4 is easily demolished, and the Ancient will fall in favor of the Dire squad. It looked so rough for them towards that early and mid-game, but somehow they outlasted the Centaur raid boss strat and brought it home, so fantastically played from our Dire. Special shout out to that Vengeful Spirit. Her Ags is really what turned this around, but also, I mean, you gotta just give credit to the Dooms for the nice early control there. Gushi bringing in a ton of late game damage. Brewmaster, of course, just getting off those really clutch splits, and some of his flying boulders really helped out. So very well played.
Yeah, it ended up being a really nice draft for the late game situation they were facing. Shadow Demon with Ags, amazing against the Ember Spirit. The Venge doing so much work, and they had the heroes to dish out the control and dish out the damage. Some definite throws on the Radiant side, but that's not to undermine that the Dire played those last few engagements really, really well. And man, what a fun game to win in the end. That must have felt so satisfying.
All right, so again, that is one of the Moonduck replay casts. Those are available at moonduck.tv/replaycast. I'm AnneeDroid, being joined by my special co-caster Syndar. You can find him on Twitter at
twitter.com/Syndar Gaming. Thanks so much for having me on, Annie, and thanks to whoever ordered this cast. Much appreciated. Always fun to get on with you and cast some Dota.
All right, so again, thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.